introducing who you are, where we're at, who you play for, all that stuff.
Okay. Just
We're
go.
good.
Oh,
You've been
okay.
recording.
I'm Colt Luckau. We're at Paintball Fit. I play for Paintball Fit semi-pro team, and this is what we do. We run Paintball Fit together as a family, and we play as high-level paintball as we can.
Where did your guys' journey start in paintball?
Our journey in paintball, it's a little weird. So my dad has been playing paintball since like the 80s. Like in the 80s, he got taken out by my mom for like a present when they were like 18 and 20, right? So she just was like, hey, let's go play paintball for your birthday, and like took him out for his first time. He fell in love with it. He played all throughout the 90s, early 2000s, had us three as kids, and then he tried getting me into it at a young age too, but he got Brody and Johnny at a young age. Johnny played, when he was young. I was terrified to play. So then about like 2008 is kind of, we all stopped playing paintball because my dad actually got cancer. So, had to deal with all that and went through all that, for like about, I'm saying 2008. So like 8 years, until we started playing paintball again. One of his buddies came in and was like, hey, like, I think you should start playing again, make you feel better, get back into it. And he went out one weekend. He brought Johnny and Brody again. I'm terrified to play because paintballs hurt. So they took them two out. They started playing, and then they all kind of fell back in love with it. Started playing every weekend. This was back when coaching was a thing. So me and my cousin Trenton would actually help coach them on the sideline by like yelling, hey, it's kill 3, it's the guys in the S1, stuff like that. Just because Trent at the time wasn't living with us or like around as much, like he wasn't playing with Johnny and Brody and my dad. I was just terrified to play. So no, and then about 2016 they were like, hey, it's end of 2015, I thought I need to play because I don't know if my dad will ever play again. Right? And I don't want to be the only son who never played a paintball tournament with him. So they were like, look, we'll just play the last event of the year, just play, just be an alternate. So I never practiced or did anything. Just they kind of showed me how to shoot, and then we went out and we were playing, and they put me in one point, got, shot real quick, and then the second point they put me in, the guys are like in RS2 and like Snake 50, and I just was like, well, I got to run at them because it was like a 3-on-5 at the time, and I ran down 2 snake guys, and that was the best feeling that I've ever had, and now I've just been chasing it. And then we started playing. They were like, Johnny and Brody at the time were playing D3, and they were looking to go national in D2. They said, okay, well, if you and Trenton want to start playing, we're not going to do that. We're going to step down and play D4 with you guys as the high-level players. And then they started playing with us, and we got shit on. Like it was, you have 2 good players, and then you have some bad players, right? And you're trying to carry them. So then they're playing a lot of 2-on-5s in X-Ball by themselves, Brody and Johnny are, and then they were kind of teaching us the ropes. And then that was in 2016 was the first year. 2017, I think we became like a decent local D4 team together, but like me and Trenton are playing really good. Johnny had just started, like once he, got our feet out from under us and we were playing good together, he was like, hey, I'm going to go play with D2 Diesel at the time and try to learn as much as I can and then give it back to us and like, teach everyone, right? Like I'm going to go learn this so I can teach you guys. And then he started doing that. That's when we were like, hey, we can make a fit line and play nationally D4. And then at the time, there's some guys from Nebraska that came and played with us to kind of fill the line. Just some old friends of like Mark Johnson and Greg. And then they were like, hey, these guys want to play national. You guys want to play national. Y'all could probably talk to them. And then we all got together, played D4. Played, I think, 4 out of the 5 events. We won 3 of them in D4. And then at Cup, most of the guys had to dip out that weren't from Texas. So then we were very short-staffed to Cup that year. We ended up getting, I think, either top 6 or top 4. I don't remember. We didn't win, I'll tell you that much. And then went on to D3. We won 4 out of 5 events in D3. winning the first 3, losing Chicago, and then, and then we won Cup, won the series. Then Johnny had joined us back at that time for D3. So then we all went on a run there as a family, and that was kind of like a proving year of like, hey, we can do this together, right? Because the Nebraska guys were kind of like teaching us, because they were a bunch of old school ballers, right? So they were kind of teaching me and Trenton and Brody how to be leaders. Does that make sense? So like how to not be a shit teammate in the pit, right? Because at the time, I was young, I was a shitty teammate, right? And it took my brothers and other people being like, hey man, you could be good, but you're a bad teammate right now, and trying to learn that. And then going into D3, that was a proving year for myself to like, how can I be the best teammate possible and on the field and off the field to where I'm boosting teammates, right? So then D3 was a big proving year, and then D2 was the COVID year, so we got a couple of our buddies in Texas that were playing on different teams, like Michael Diaz and our boy Danny, who he doesn't play anymore, but we went into D2, and Chuck Latham, Chuck also joined us for the D3 year, he was a D5 local guy, and then we were going into D3, and we were like, we need players, because our team kind of left, and we went and got some guys from lower, and Chuck stunted, and it was great. And we went to D2, and we made Sunday. I think we went 3-1, and then we lost in the quarters. So then COVID happens right after, right? And then we're like, dude, we're not going to play paintball all year. Like, what's going on? We go to Cup. Then we were like, fuck it, let's just train as if there's another tournament next month. Because it was like every tournament, they were like, we might have it, might not, right? And then it ended up being canceled. And then it got to the point where we were like, they're not even going to have Cup. And then like a couple weeks before, we were finally told by Tom, like, no, it's happening. Cup's happening. We're like, fuck. So we start getting back into drilling and stuff like that, playing on the weekends, and went to Cup. We got 3rd. And then that's when AC Dallas fell apart, right? About a month after Cup, we got a text message from one of the AC guys, TJ. It was just like, hey, like, I just want to let you guys know, I appreciate everything you've done for us, like with your field, your family, for like letting them come practice here. And we told him, like, we're very appreciative of how much he helped us, because a lot of the stuff the IQ of paintball I would contribute to me is talking with and watching John, Fuzzy, and TJ on layout weekends. The Jackson brothers and TJ were very instrumental, and Mark Johnson, and talking to them and just being like, hey, like, what am I doing wrong? And figuring out how to develop. And I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys, because those 4 were very instrumental in my personal growth when I would, be struggling on how to get better at paintball. But no, so those guys ended up leaving AC Dallas, and then about a week later after that text message, that's when Greg Pauly messaged us and was just kind of like, hey, I don't have a team anymore. Do you guys want to play pro? So now we're looking at it and we're like, okay, we just played D3. We had a great D3 season, but we just struggled in D2, right? Like we lost on Sunday, and then we lost on Sunday but got 3rd, right? But we're still developing. So I'm like, okay, well, what's the positives, right? And he's like, we're on the job training, right? Like, you're going to go play pro, you're going to play against the best, and you're going to see what it takes to win at that level, not just compete. So like me, Trenton, Johnny, and Brody were all kind of discussing everything. And actually at the time, I'm leaving a part out. So Chavez actually moved up here for the D2 season. Like, I say but like during the D2 season, moved up here, started working with us every day, and now he's just been a 4th brother. Like, I've had 3 brothers, but now I have a 4th brother, right? So
he actually lives with you, correct?
Yeah, like currently right now we are roommates. Like, we all live together and we work together and we play every weekend together. It's it's great, right? Like, you don't want to just play high-level paintball with players just because you want to play high-level paintball. Like, I want to play with my friends, I want to have fun while I'm doing it. And that's what we try to do with paintball, man, is actually have fun while competing, because nobody wants to fucking lose. But you got to have fun with it, man. No, so we get the offer, and then we all kind of discussed it. And we were like, okay, we'll do it. But, at the time, they actually didn't want to pick up Chavez because he was still, developing. And we were like, well, we're not going to join unless you pick up Chavez. Like, it is what it is. And then they 100%, it's funny because you look back at it now and they're like, dude, that guy's a fucking animal. But
I'm just thinking, like, Paintball Fit without Chavez, like, your D side would just...
It's not the same.
You wouldn't have that quick stabber.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, everyone wanted him to play Snake because you look at a smaller guy and you're like, that's a Snake guy. And we were just kind of, and Chavez, he would rather play D side. And we were like, hey, try the D side out. And he started stunting on kids. And now that's his home. That's where he plays. So then we make sure we're all a part of it. We host a tryout, and that's actually where we got Scott Stewart, which funny story about him. He was like, I don't care if I don't make the tryout. I'm moving to Texas. I will play high-level paintball at Paintball Fit. And, I mean, just that commitment to, I'm going to move somewhere. I don't give a fuck if I'm on a team. I'm moving somewhere because I want to be the best. And he felt like coming here and being able to train as much as possible would be the spot. It's kind of a no-brainer to pick that guy up. And then, now he's a stunner, and I'm happy that as Paintball Fit, he has got to flourish because he didn't get a lot of playing time on AC Dallas, whatever reason that was. But in my opinion, I think he deserves every bit he's getting now, and that guy's a fucking killer, right? So, but we look at the AC Dallas season, and people ask like, hey, knowing you were getting relegated, like, would you have wanted to do it again? Absolutely. Like, right? Because like now I understand what level the pros are at. And it's not the general thought of like, oh, those guys are just sick gun battlers. They are, right? But so is the whole semi-pro division. Like they're the same gun skill wise. The difference is how quick they assess the game midpoint. And that's how I look at it. And the nice part is we've been learning how to adjust midpoint and mid-match because of that season. Right? Like, hey, in order to win in pro when we go, because we don't want to win the pro spot, go there, and then be like, hey, we made Sunday once. Like, I want to go there and I want to dominate. I want to be a top 10 team. That might be irrational to people, but I feel like if you don't have irrational confidence, you're never going to be a top player, right? You can't, you got to have some irrational confidence about it. But
yeah, I mean, if your goal's to go pro and be in the bottom 10, then just stay semi-pro.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I think like if Paintball Fit wasn't a thing, I think a lot of us on our team, we could go play pro for different teams. But why? Like I don't want to just be like, hey, like I'm pro, I did that. And when we were together, but we weren't, it's not the same feel as it is now, right? Like now it feels, like I said before, like we're having fun while playing. Right? We're learning, but we're having fun, and it's still as serious as ever, right? Like next year, I want it to be unfair that we're still able to play semi-pro. And the thing is, I know everyone's working hard. I know everyone is working super fucking hard going into it, and I love it, right? Because it shows how much of a sport this is, because, what makes it a sport, in my opinion, is how much people care, right? It's not getting paid. It's not all that. I think people care so much about what we're doing in the semi-pro division that everyone is working so hard that I think most teams might be outworking a lot of pro teams right now. Just in my opinion, I think there's more at stake for the semi-pro division than there is for the bottom 15, 12 pro teams, right? That know they're not going to win an event. Like, there's not that much at stake. They're just like, I just don't want to get relegated. That's how I think a lot of them are right now. But no, I'm excited. I feel really, really confident about our team going into 2023.
What was your favorite event or favorite part of the 2022 season as a team?
My favorite part had to be the first event. So the first event, you go online and a lot of people they talk a lot of shit, right? Like, oh, well, those guys got relegated. Like, they're not that fucking good. There's just a bunch of nonsense, right? And then, so like I was going into that event and it's been the whole time. And it's kind of my mentality this year is, with all due respect to all the teams here, fuck everyone in the division. Like, you just don't give a fuck, right? Like, we're out there to win, and I want to hurt people on the field. Off the field, like, I don't want to be a dick to people, but on the field, I'm out there to win the match and be an asshole. And that was I feel like our whole team's mentality going into that event. And to go from relegated to winning the first semi-pro event and showing people like, hey man, just so you understand, like, we were just relegated last year. That's how hard the pro division is. People are way smarter in the pro division. And it felt like a big fuck you to all of paintball that didn't like our team, if that makes sense.
The Monday morning quarterbacks, the people who sit at home and talk about what it is and what it is and what it isn't, but the reality is they haven't seen above D4 at the regional.
100%. 100%. And it is what it is. It's they'll learn, but it's just nice to prove people wrong. But the nice part about this year is I got more people to prove wrong, right? Like, I'm excited. It'll be a good year.
How do you feel about the recent changes to the layout drops and the rules pertaining to it? The only 1 week of practice, essentially.
I think we won't know till we know, right? I think that the harder working teams, the teams with freer schedules, right, like have more time off, I think they're going to just be a force to reckon with on the field because they're going to get way more practice in, right? Like, so many people can only get maybe their team does Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Like, I know like Houston Heat has done that in the past where they've come out here to practice and they practice Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? But when you do that with 2 weeks, I feel like it evens out. Like, maybe one team gets 6 days of practice, maybe the other team gets 5 days, or one team gets 7, one team gets 5 or 6 and 4, whatever it is, right? But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, 1 week, the chance of somebody being able to get equal amounts as teams that are able to play from, say Thursday to Monday, right? Like, that's a lot of paintball, but some teams are going to do that. And I think they're going to be better because it's a 1 weekend thing. And then, it might free up moves on the field that people see because nobody's had enough time to play on it. So then people like a Ryan Greenspan, right, will do moves that other people haven't done yet because nobody's had enough time, and he just has the field vision for that. So he sees it quicker because he's had, more time in the game. So I feel like teams like that, it's going to create more space between teams like Dynasty and I'm trying to think of different teams. Like, even just take Sunday teams. I think it'll take ML Kings, which is a Sunday team now, but they're a young roster, right? You take a seasoned team like Dynasty, you give each team 1 weekend on the layout. A seasoned team who's seen more layouts than everyone else is going to play better. It's at least 7 times out of 10. That's 70% of the time, right? That's still a drastic difference. I think multiple layouts even the playing field, or multiple weekends on the layout evens the playing field for teams.
So by kind of recapping what you just said, it'd be fair to say that you think Paintball Fit has this 1 week schedule could benefit you as a fully homegrown team. And what I mean by that is your whole team works at Paintball Fit, minus Scott Stewart and Diaz, who are both in situations where they can come to Paintball Fit during the week. I mean, if it's not at the field, it's at your concrete mold business that's at the field. It's at the store downtown, whatever it may be. It's also integrated to where it's, hey, boss, can we practice today?
Yeah, no, 100%. One big thing is like, I think, like you said, teams that are homegrown are definitely going to be at an advantage, if that makes sense, right? So like Blast Camp, us, I know that there's a semi-pro team that has Killers, right? If I remember correctly, they're pretty chill with their owner, the field that they're at. They'll practice multiple times a week, right? Like, there's gonna be a drastic difference in teams that are all integrated close together next to a home field. That's gonna be huge, I think. I do think that teams with a field close to them and players that are all close, living distance, it'll be a drastic gap in other teams.
So you guys fell short of the pro spot by 1 point.
1 point.
1 point. Like 1 point, and your relegated season would have been topped with going right back. Like, what's up?
You know, yeah, so we lost the pro spot again, right? 2 years in a row. So that's fun. 1 point, it sucks. But I look back and like going into Cup, so Trenton Mason is my cousin, but like he's like a brother to me, right? Like we've lived together for years. Now he's moved out, but like we see each other every day. So he tore his hamstring going into the last Sunday of practice. So that happened, right? Johnny tore his calf the second day of practice on the first weekend of the layout, right? So that's 2 players that were down. Key players, by the way. Like, a lot of people don't give Johnny and like Brody credit. Like me, Chavez, and Trenton get a lot, right? And Scott. But you look at like Johnny's success rate on the field when he's playing, in my opinion, is greater than like when I'm playing, right? Like I mean, he's my older brother, but like being unbiased, the dude shoots people, right? So like him tearing his calf playing a key position on the field, yeah, that sucked, right? So then we have to take Trenton, who's usually the 2 on the snake side, and I'm like, hey, you need to play, that little W on the Dorito side of the Cup layout, which in my opinion was the most key bunker on the field. The most dynamic, if that makes sense. And then Trenton goes over there. He was killing it in practice, just, filling the spot perfect. Everything was working great. And then he tears his hamstring going from the W over and then getting into the snake. So, like that was a huge blow. Now we're down 2, right? Then you have Chavi and my brother Brody. They're rotating on D side. And then we have like a dynamic duo between Jonathan and Brody on D side, right? So now we're like, okay, our D side's handled. Like Brody's doing good. Jonathan's doing good. They're both rotating when they need to. You put a player like Scott over there, or Diaz in the beast, right? Like it was good. And then we get to the practice and we're playing, and then Brody tears his calf, right? So now we have 3 injuries to 3 key players, and now Jonathan's having to just be on a skeleton crew which by the way, Brody still played, but like he could only go to the D side tower. Like he's like, I have a torn calf. Like I can play if Jonathan needs a break, but that's about it, right? So then Jonathan's getting worn out, and then now we're playing with 6.5 with a torn calf with Brody. So we end up going 3-0-1. We're playing good. Everything's great. Then we go into Sunday. We play a grinder of a match with Distortion. We end up playing overtime, and then that goes to one-on-ones. Then Scott Stewart comes in clutch, wins the one-on-one. Now we're going against Arsenal, right? We play a grinder of a match there. We win goes to time. I think it was like 4-2, 3-2. Now we're going to finals, right? And it's a weird thing because like me personally, thought we already won the pro spot. Like people are texting me, congratulating me. I had like 10 texts just by different players. Like, hey man, like congrats going back to pro. And I'm like, yeah, but like we still got 1 more to win. Like nobody wants to go pro and not win Cup. So I do kind of am happy we didn't win the pro spot in that sense, because I don't want to win pro and also get second at Cup. Like that's stupid. So then we end up going into that finals, and it was rough, man. Notorious came out fucking swinging. They had something to prove, right? Like, and that's the thing is I could tell you that it's because we were exhausted, but no, they fucking played good. Like, FSU came out and they put 4 up on us. They went up 4-0. Like, yeah, the match ended 5-3, but like, we fucked up mentally thinking, oh, we already won the pro spot. We just start playing like shit. Everyone's playing like an idiot, including myself, just dying stupid. Like, we threw away the pro spot, and it's, I feel like shit for it, right? But now I look at it and I'm like, how can I get better at it? And the answer is get in better shape, right? Get in better shape, get healthier as a team, because we lost 3 of our key players who contributed to every win, finals, anything through the history of Paintball Fit. We lost 3 of us, right? Like, that's 3 core members all get injured right before Cup. It sucks, right? But now we're all like, hey, we have to be healthier, right? So now everyone's, doing their stretches and all that stuff, trying to be healthy, so that way, not if, but when we go pro again, we're healthy, right? Like, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to go pro and just be another flash in the pan and get relegated twice. No, we want to go pro and we want to dominate. I want to be up. I want to be the next dynasty. Like, that's the goal. It's not to just be pro. It's to be talked about as a great team. That's what you want. That could take another 20 years. You got an infinite amount of time in paintball. It's just not if, but when.
Yeah, I mean, dynasty at 40 years old is...
That's my point, right?
So
like,
your clock's not ticking.
Like, it must have been like last year, or it might have been 2021. Everyone was like, oh, I wonder if Dynasty's done. Like, they're not going to be that good. And then they went on a run in all of 2020, 2021, and now 2022. They're the best team in paintball. It's not even deniable. Like, so, like, you look at those guys and you're like, hey, like, they're doing it at an age and they have found a way to have fun while still working hard. And I think that's the key to their success.
I will tell you firsthand from someone who's recording them in practices and pits, they are definitely having fun.
No, it's great to see, especially knowing that, like, they're the pioneers of today's paintball. Like, that's the pioneers of today's paintball. It's Dynasty, right? So the goal is to, eventually be talked about as, hey, do you think in Dynasty's heyday and Paintball Fit's heyday, who would be better? Kind of like how they talk about the Warriors and the Bulls. That's what I want, right? And that could take time, but I got time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's almost like you guys are starting to lay that framework. Because Dynasty is so much more than a paintball team or even an organization. They're a multiple business front. They're Field 1 Force. I mean, Hormesis. There's members part of BKI.
Yeah.
I mean, Dynasty Champions Club. You got the Spick and Span show. Then you got Marcelo and Play the Game. And
they're killing it.
When it started, Tyler Harmon was on Dynasty for Play the Game. I mean, as a organization, they are ground up. Just they got it right.
Yeah.
Business sense, money. They understand that this sport itself, winning the events, isn't gonna pay you. So you need to step out of your comfort zone a little bit and invest in things that revolve around what they love to fund.
Yeah.
So with y'all, we have what some could argue the best speedball field in the world, Paintball Fit. I mean, I don't know a field who has done the lights at night better. And as a kid, I grew up in San Antonio playing at a field called Paintball Nights that had like these Kmart parking lot lights around the field, and in 1999, 2001, it was amazing, but like that out there was awesome.
Yeah, no, those lights, the whole design and everything, like, that's all Johnny. That man's crazy with it. He designed everything, and then we just kind of found an electrician. We're like, hey, this is my design, and just found out exactly how many watts we need and all that stuff, and then made sure it would work. And the guy was like, this can work. And then Johnny designed it all, got all the parts, and then we all built it, hung it up ourselves, and just kind of had to learn how to, like, wire in stuff, and which is crazy to think about, but that's what you have to do when you run a paintball field. You got to figure out how to do things on the fly, and if you need to ask a question, call someone who's in that field, but that's about it if you know someone.
Or if you have a healthy relationship to talk, because there's definitely a lot of competition between fields, right? Like,
yeah.
It's really hard to call the field 20 minutes down the road and be like, can I get a hand?
Yeah, no, it is. It's definitely different. Well, for us, it's weird because, like, we only do speedball, right? So like when people ask me, like, where should I have a party at, like, birthday, because we don't do birthday parties. So like when people are like, hey, I want to do like a birthday party, they'll message me and I'll just be like, oh, you should go to either Mad Dogs, who's right next to us, or like you can go anywhere, right? There's so many different fields. There's Fun on the Run. There's Mad Dogs. Like there's a lot around, right? There's official. There all these different people who do birthday parties and stuff, but we just do speedball. So like, it's not as much of like competition with us. Does that make sense? Like we built a culture and we want people to want to be here to have fun and not to, be bullies on the field or anything like that. So we just, try to keep our culture good. And
No, I mean, yeah, like not to be cliche, but Paintball Fit's definitely a vibe. Like it's unlike. I travel to a lot of fields, and it's unlike any other field when you're just hanging out here.
I appreciate that. That's what we strove for whenever we first started building this place. Was like, let's make essentially like a paradise for players, right? That's why we give free snacks. That's why we give water. It's built by players for players. As cliche as that sounds, like that, but that's what we were trying to do. That's why we have air on the field to where you don't have to leave it. You can be under shaded area on the field 5 feet from the start gate with your paint and your air, and you never have to leave, and water right next to you in an ice chest. Like, that's just...
Oh, it's definitely nice. Like you said, you don't do birthday parties. I mean, when you go play speedball at a paintball park, at the end of the day, speedball's second or third on the list. I mean, it's the open play that's the cash cow for them. It's birthday parties, open play, moms bringing their kids in once a year to buy that case at full price, because let's be honest, speedballers, we all want deals because we shoot in mass quantities and we're like, man, we need a whole skid at cost. And you're like, yeah, I can't operate like that.
Yeah, you can't do that. Like, yeah, dude, we do this as a family, and like, this is split between the family. So like, there's not a lot of money out there, right? And plus we're trying to play paintball. So like, this helps to where we can play high level paintball and we can stay together, right? Or else then we'll have to go, people have to play on other teams just to be able to afford it, right? Paintball's expensive. So like, this is a way for us to have our friends play together and at a high level.
No, and it's awesome. And like I said, with no birthday parties, it's you come here as a speedballer and you feel like you're the focus because you are. I mean, you have an amazing tech on site that can fix anything from an EMAG to a CS3. It seems
he's like a MacGyver with paintball guns. It's crazy.
The only person I would probably want to see compete with him is Jeff from X Factor. I'd like to.
Oh, you should see them talk. They're like the same dude. They're just like sitting by themselves to the side, laughing together. It's crazy.
I could see that. Like evil twin, like Pinky in the brain.
Yeah, I feel like they just point and they're just like, yeah, that guy's an idiot. He doesn't even know how to change his lube. Like bunch of stuff. But
let me tell you what Billy did.
Yeah.
So and then going more into how you guys are building a foundation for more than just paintball, we can step into the Hydra brand. Like, arguably, you guys have brought some of the most revolutionary knee pads to the game, and you hear everybody say, "Well, they're just volleyball knee pads. You can buy them on Amazon." And I'll be honest, I've bought them. I was one of those people before I picked up a camera, and I bought some Amazon volleyball knee pads, and I was like, I don't know, I'm going to go spend that $60 or whatever they were, and I bought them because, Blast Camp is a Hydra dealer, so I bought some knee pads from Virgil there, and, they're knee braces, they're knee pads, they're just amazing.
We just wanted a supportive knee pad to where because in paintball you're running and diving, right? Like, you're not just going left and right or straight. Like, you're doing every kind of motion you can think of, and you're also banging your knees. So you need protection in the front. You need compression to where you don't tear anything, right? And if you do hurt yourself, you don't hurt yourself as much because there's compression, right? Like, we just wanted a protective, safe knee pad that also, makes you not feel safe. Does that make sense? You wear these other knee pads that like twist on you and all that stuff. So like ours, they'll slip a little bit. They're, you get sweaty, stuff comes down a little bit, but you quickly put it back on and then you feel like it's not even there.
Well, and let's be fair, you have to make sure you take the time to try them all on and size them correctly and understand that you want them to be really tight because when you sweat, you're going to get a little, like a little lube kind of going.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm a big guy and like I wear an XL. And then I get these guys that are smaller than me, and they're like, no, I'm definitely a 2X. And I have to be like, hey, like, you want to try it on because you want it to be tight. And then I have to walk them through it, or they'll tell me they're an XL, and I look down at them, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
You're like a medium or a large. Like, let me help you. And then once they try them on, they're like, oh, you're right. Like, I appreciate it. And it is what it is. Not a lot of people are used to wearing compression.
No.
They're just not. So like you have to like show people, make sure. But once they get the right fit, and that's one thing we do. Like if you buy one online, if you buy an XL and you get it and you're like, does not fit me, talk to us. I will have you ship your knee pads back, and I'll ship you new knee pads with a return label, and you just ship it back. Just ship back your other pair, and we'll figure this out if you like live states away, right? Or even if you don't want to drive up here. But we will do returns, and we'll trade you out knee pads if the sizing's wrong, right? You get them in, you try to wear them to practice, and we're like, oh, okay, it doesn't really work. Well, don't wear them, right? Put them back in the bag, and then we'll send you new ones, send those back, right? Just want people to have the right product.
I mean, what made y'all, knee pads? I mean, because now Hydra has a full line, right? You got joggers, you got hoodies, you got arm pads. Coming, maybe, think about it, got it. You got, your ankle braces. I saw your dad, pitching. There's hats. But what knee pads seems like such a, who decided to dive into that? Who decided
that was all Johnny, right? Johnny was the big one. Well, I mean, you got to think, like, there's no shame to the other knee pads. Like, it works for some people. Like, but as a bigger person who moves a lot of, force and inertia around, you need more support. You just do. You can't have a strap, 2 straps, and just be like, yep, I'm good, and you have no support. So then your legs are just wobbly. Like, I don't know. It was a big thing. Like, you see people that they'll wrap like an ace bandage on their knee to like try to get, or like KT tape to keep it tight. Like, you could wear a compression sleeve. Like, you could wear that knee pad that has the padding, has the compression. That way you're safe. And then like running wise, ACLs and stuff like that. But then also when I bang my knee on the ground, I have padding in the front. So it was just let's figure out a perfect combination. And then Johnny did all the design and R&D for all of that it took like a year, maybe more, of him doing it.
I could see there being a lot of time investment. Just in manufacturing, dealing with the time zone differences and stuff. Like, you're like, shit.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'll be up at 3 a.m. so I make this call.
It's a lot of work.
So back to being an only speedball field, does that mean you guys probably hold more events than any other field?
Mm-hmm. I would think. We actually just played it this weekend. So we do Mech X, which is a draft so we can get all the players out here and play with them from beginner. Like, I'm talking, like, I had dudes playing in jeans this weekend with no cleats, just like tennis shoes and jeans. Never played airball before. Ranges all the way to pro, right? Like, Mark Johnson came and played, right? And then a lot of our fit guys play, and we do these mech events where we do a draft and then we play each other, and it's all for pride, right? But it's a very cheap, cost-effective event, so that people out here can play with high-level players, and we can help coach them. And then we have our champions, which is the regular X ball, and it's like, I'm going to be playing with a D4 line, and I'm their one omitted player, right? So like a lot of us are doing that, and then it's just a D4 tournament with regular D4 roster, and then you can add either 2 extra D3 players, or I think it's 3 extra D3 players, 2 D2, or 1 semi-pro or pro. So teams can kind of pick what they want to do with that. And then we also have our challengers, which is for people who've never won in a tournament. That way they can, learn to win there, right? Because not a lot of people have won a paintball tournament. They just haven't, right? It's usually like, you go to different states, it's usually about 4 teams to kind of circle in like a rotation of who's winning, right? Like, that's about it. At least that's what I see when people post on Facebook all the time, right? Like, it's usually the same 4 teams in every state that kind of win everything, right? So we did the challengers, and it's basically for people to have a place where, hey, none of us have won. right? Like none of us have won an X-Ball tournament. So then, and it's off of APPA wins, right? So if you don't have an APPA X-Ball win, you can play it if you're D3 or lower. So it's a good space because then you get that team, they win. Okay, now come play champions, right? Like you can't play challenger anymore. So now you don't have to worry about it. You get second place to a team. Now that team can't even come play you in the next challengers, right? Give you a chance to win, right? I think it's good for people's growth to learn how to win.
Do you hope the NXL keeps double points this year? Would you like to see it go away?
Like to see it go away.
You like to see it go away?
Yeah, I mean, I think double points is stupid. I understand why they do it because then it gives teams a reason to play cup, right? But I think semi-pro and pro should not be double points. The serious semi-pro teams, when there's stuff at stake, right? Like pro gets a pretty big prize package for winning the series, right? From my understanding, I could be wrong.
I think they got like $40,000 or $50,000 if
That,
they won
right?
cup this year.
Exactly.
I don't even think that was a series prize. I think that was the cup
Oh,
payout.
well, that's pretty sick.
It might have been the series payout, but I'm pretty sure like for the pro division, World Cup was worth like 40 or 50 grand. Like it
Gotcha.
Was, they made it.
Well, I know like the series winner for cup for semi-pro was multiple entries for the next season paid, and the pro spot. So I'm like, double points kind of fucks a lot of people, right? Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like we didn't win cup, so like it'd have been different if like we won cup and then like we still didn't win, right? Like then that would suck. But with double points, like.
So I mean, if we take double points away and you guys won cup, I think Blastcamp takes the pro spot without double points because they weren't. No. Were you guys high enough in the finishing? There had to be
somebody did the math, and like, I don't remember all of it.
Everybody's done the math, but I swear the answers come out different.
And that's my thing is like I've never done the math because I was like, okay, did I lose it this year? They told me yes, and then I was just like, fuck it, right? And then you see people on your Facebook feed like and Instagram always like, oh, this would have happened, this would have happened. I think if they did 5 scores, we would have won even with double points. But it was because they did 4 scores plus double points. Like it was like the perfect recipe for us to lose.
That's kind of interesting, right? Why do you double point an event if we drop an event?
It doesn't make sense to me. But I think, I don't know. Hopefully they'll change it. But I just want to know at the start of the year, what is it? Let's figure it out. Let's just win, right? But the answer is just go out there and fucking win World Cup and win the goddamn thing, right? I could complain this whole time until I'm just fucking angry and throwing stuff, right? But it doesn't matter, right? Like double points or not, just go out and win. Like that's the only answer. So I don't know. We'll see what they do. I'm happy that it's 5 majors and there's not like a minor. I'm happy that it's not blind layouts. It's just 1 weekend. I'm fine with 2 weekends. It could be 3 weekends. I don't care. But we're just like, all right, let's go win. You know, fuck everyone here. Let's go win. That's the mentality.
If you could see one major change happen to the sport of paintball as a whole, what would that be?
One major change? Man, I don't know. I mean, if you could go to the pro league and actually have like, you know, like real contracts where players can't just up and leave, that could be cool. Right? Like, I mean, like, look at ML Kings, right? Like, they just started making Sunday. I think they barely lost to Heat a couple times on Sunday, and now their star player goes to Heat, right? Because ML Kings ain't paying him. So it's like, you know, that sucks, right? Like, the teams with money, they buy the players. Like, it is what it is. They see an up-and-coming player, or that player gives them issues. I feel like it's like okay, they start being nice to him during the year. Right, they start being real nice, and then they go pick them up. And then now ML Kings is like, we just lost one of our star players. Now they have to go find someone else, right? Like, I just think that happens a lot in pro paintball, and I don't know a way to fix it, right? There's not like a salary cap because not every team has a salary, right? So it'd be cool if there was like different rules. Like I don't even know the answer. It just sucks to see high-level players on like lower teams taking them up, and then they just dip off.
You would
right?
ultimately have to start a players' union to enforce these rules.
which could be cool. I think a players' union could be cool, and I think
because that's what the NFL, the NBA, all of them
But-
have a players' union that they all come into an agreement with, and that's where, even in the owners, to where if you misrepresent your contract or if you top out on it, you can't go play for the Miami Heat or San Antonio Spurs if you're under contract with the Mavs. Like,
yeah, you just can't.
nope, not till it's done.
Which I think we could do something like that, because and I could be wrong, but I've heard different stories of players like, yeah, he had a contract, he just left.
A paintball contract is.
There's nothing to hold it.
It would cost the owner more in legal fees to try to even attempt to enforce it.
Yeah.
In the court of law than what it's worth, and that's why, as a league of players and owners, there has to be a union and bylaws created within each other, to where the system upholds its other. It's almost like I hate to say crypto, but Bitcoin. Like, there's a check and balances. There's a ledger. All the computers work in sync to say, yep, you got that much Bitcoin, or nope, no, you don't. And it's kind of like all the team owners have to work in cadence to say, oh, yep, you've honored your contracts, you can come here. Or, nope, you didn't honor that, you can't come here.
You have to finish another year,
you're
right?
in purgatory. Like, we watched this happen with one of the greatest running backs of all time, Barry Sanders. Didn't want to play for the Lions anymore and simply just stopped playing and couldn't play for anyone else.
I think it'd be cool if people had contracts. You could sign it for a season. You could sign it for 2 seasons, right? Like, and you could do stuff like other sports, like you can't cut me type thing. Like, you could put a clause in that, no cutting, stuff like that. Like, it could be cool. I don't know if that'll ever happen, or if it's going to be another 20 years from now when people start getting paid a little more and stuff like that. But I do think it hurts paintball when the higher level teams that don't truly need these players go and get them just because they're like, that takes away from that team. That's less competition. Which, in my opinion, that's what's happening.
So,
but
yeah, I've heard that. Let's, for the sake of argument, let's call it a conspiracy.
Yeah, it is. It's a conspiracy.
I've definitely heard that the higher owners, when there's a team or a player that is giving them issues, or they will give that player a contract, bring them to the organization, pay them for a year or 2, not play them, and then release them, because then no one really wants them, because
they haven't been getting playing time.
Well, and all the other lower teams realize, oh, if I grab that guy, then next time another big team comes in with money, he gone. Like, there's no loyalty. And I've seen it happen to where I'm like, okay, I can see where this conspiracy is real. So, like, do I have definitive proof? No. So we're going to call it a conspiracy.
Yeah. And I mean, we're expecting that, like with our team. Like, if we go pro and we start having, you see it all the time. Like, Chavez kills it in semi-pro, and you see these different pros coming up to him, like talking to him, and it's funny because we all talk about it and we laugh. Like, these guys, like, it's all a weird game. Like, you see it all the time. They start seeing it, and then they have like that one high-end player on their team. They start kind of like chatting the guy up, and then it just takes putting a little bug in someone's ear. And then that player starts being like, oh, well, I could go play over here, right? And then now that kid's fucked. And he's going to just start thinking that way. And then they send him a contract, say it's $10,000. That's game-changing for a lot of people.
For paintballers,
especially. Like, for a lot of people, that's big in paintball world, right?
That's almost your share of your season entries in paint and stuff.
100%.
Or if it's $10,000 plus the rides.
And it's usually the rides cover plus like $10,000, right? And then most people aren't loyal, and that's why we're happy about our team. Is like, we have a solid team. Our core, we're like, well, we're not going anywhere, right? So we just look at it and we're like, I truly believe that people could get offered to leave, and we'll stick together. Like, and that. I think that's scary for other people.
Has anyone been given an offer that you know
of? Yeah.
I mean,
but
you don't have to.
I'm not gonna say what it was or who, but like, take it.
Yeah, I mean.
Right, like, just going to play pro is kind of stupid. Like, it is, right? People can argue that, but it really is. Unless you've never played with any of close people, or you didn't get close with your teammates, you're just kind of being a shithead. Unless there's like a huge reason, like, I just got kicked out of my house, I have no money, I have to take this. Like, it's different. But like, no, we're confident in our team, and that, you know, none of us are going anywhere. We'll stick together and ride it out till nobody can play anymore.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No.
Can you tell people where to go shopping at if they can't find it at Paintball Fit?
Yeah. If you can't find any products at Paintball Fit or paintballfit.com, the next best place to go is lonewolfpaintball.com. It's a great website. Get all your paintball needs. They got everything you can think of.
See y'all next time.